should we be surprised when we know God has come after us? He didn't come after us to keep us the way the white man made us. He came after us to make us like Him. To make us into gods like He is God. And thereby establish a record in the history of nations that is not surpassed in the past, because no one was able to produce a nation of gods, but now this is a nation of gods that is coming up. But if we follow your idea or my idea, then we won't get it up. But through the process of dialogue, we have a way of submitting that is a different way than we're used to. Because dialogue actually invites the presence of Allah in the person of Master Barack Muhammad and his messenger to be with us. You didn't hear what I said. Yes, sir. Do you think that that's just words? If you think that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is physically dead, then you won't believe that he could be present with us tonight. Go ahead. That's part of the difficulty in some of the circles. Because you have a mixed belief in the circle. Some believe, but others don't believe. But through the miracle of dialogue, one or two things is going to happen. Through the miracle of dialogue, disbelief, shall we say sincere disbelief, is transformed into sincere belief. Or if the person is actually a hypocrite, and there are hypocrites in this world, they will not be able to stand the dialogue. They will be driven out. Why? Because a hypocrite is a liar. And the rule of dialogue is that you must tell the truth. Now, what you think is true or what I might think is true doesn't necessarily mean that it is true, but I believe it to be true and therefore I speak it. And if it is found out to be untrue in the course of dialogue, then I am open, I am flexible to modifying my view. That's right. To make my view conform to the truth that emerges out of the dialogue process. But if I am a hypocrite, then when I speak, I'm lying. And in the circle of dialogue, the liar is found out immediately. Because the righteous have the ability to perceive truth from falsehood. And when the liar opens up his mouth or her mouth to speak, they are found out instantly. And then they are put on the spot to either stop lying or get out. But you must have the courage to speak what you think is true. You must have the courage that it doesn't bother you if after you speak, it is discovered that what you said isn't quite right. So you have to be willing to be wrong in order to get right. So dialogue is all because they're being tested. And if you're used to hiding behind a title, which is a shield that prevents anyone from testing you, then you don't like this, you're uncomfortable by this. But if you are a lover of truth, then you love this. Because every time you get involved in the dialogue process, that is another opportunity to discover truth. And if we become the kind of people who not only love truth, but who know how to test truth, who know a technique of building up truth among us into bigger and bigger and bigger examples of truth, then there's no stopping us.
That's right. That's right. Right.
One sister asked me whether or not it was permissible to lead the dialogue. You can do whatever you want. Dialogue is not for cowards.
Come on now.
So if you know in your heart you're just a big coward, this is not for you.
That's right. Come on now. Bring it. Come on, with it.
Let's take a look at courage.
Come on.
Courage is a virtue among many virtues. But some scholars have said courage is the most important virtue that there is, because without courage you cannot practice any of the other virtues. You'll believe something, but you won't have the courage to stand up and speak what you believe.
That's right.
So what good is that? If you are a believer, then why should you be afraid? To be found out to be wrong. That's why God came after us, because we was wrong. What's the sharpest surprise of being found out to be wrong? What did you think you were, right? You know you're wrong. That's why you're in there, trying to get right. So why would you pretend like you all right? Can't be challenged. And if somebody has a different point of view, now you got a problem. You can't stand that. That's why I had my sticks up here the other night with the triangle.
Yes, sir.
Trying to show you have to be flexible. You have to take your own view with flexibility. Don't get too serious about yourself. If somebody disagrees with your view, they're not disagreeing with you as a person. You and your opinion are not the same thing. We can always change our opinion about anything. But you can't change who you are. You are a righteous Muslim by your very nature. You can't change that. There is no altering of Allah's creation. All I'm trying to say, let's relax. Let's relax. Just come off your high horse. If you're up on one, put your feet down on the ground. That's how we started yesterday. Somebody said, well, could you do the same meditation? Well, I don't know if I can or not. It's not written down. You think I ever did that before? You think you're the only one doing something for the first time?
Come on, Dr. Lane. Come on, brother. Come on, brother.
But you have to have not just courage, but you have to have faith.
That's right.
That you are in the hands of Almighty God.
Right. That's right.
He's guiding us. When we got into the circles yesterday, didn't you see the sign? Or hear the sign of God's presence? What's that old Negro spiritual steal away that he talks to us in the thunder, in the rain, in the wind? And so while we were in dialogue, then at a certain point of intensity, then we heard a crescendo. And one brother said it was like a blow. And when we gave that story to the minister, he said that was God's confirmation. That they are pleased. Allah and his apostle are pleased. And their applause of our dialogue process was so strong that it drowned out what we were saying. Because Allah and his apostle wanted us to hear what they were saying. That they speak loud and all put together. And what they have to say is the absolute truth, the real truth. And we are seeking. So we have to sincerely desire to have the presence of God with us.
That's the phrase.
So let's get rooted here.
Yes, sir.
Let me say one other thing. The definition of dialogue is the flow of meaning. If you look at that image, the vision of the promised land, you see two rivers. They come to a confluence. In the Holy Quran, it talks about at the confluence of two rivers. That's where Moses met the wise man. And they entered into dialogue. And that story shows a difference of opinion. Right? They didn't see eye to eye about several different things. But that's how dialogue always begins. Because your view is not my view. You have to see it from your point of view. I have to see it from my point of view. It always starts out with a difference of opinion. In the confluence of two rivers, when they meet, it's like a clashing. And it produces what is called turbulence. So that's what some of you are experiencing in your group. See, some of you are not used to the viewpoint of others.
Come on now.
And perhaps you've been so insulated in your position of authority, you actually didn't think that other people had an independent point of view. Perhaps you didn't even give them that much credit that they could possibly formulate a thought that is different from your thought. So in the extreme of what that is, you are like the god of Moon, who grew so angry because he couldn't get all the people to speak the same language. So he couldn't get everybody to agree with him. So in his frustration and anger, he wanted to blow up the whole thing. So look for that in your circle. See, if one of the gods is so angry and frustrated because he can't So if you were in a raft in a river and it's turbulent, you swing it all around. You might get dizzy. You might feel confused. Might even get sick on your stomach. But after a while, the turbulence smooths out. So it's the process that you want to learn tonight. Don't get frustrated. Don't think that you are going to necessarily arrive at consensus tonight. You probably won't. Some of you found it difficult to arrive at consensus. You were writing up your individual plan. You were in dialogue with yourself and couldn't come to consensus. You can't necessarily make up your own mind without great difficulty. Again, that's normal. That's what it means to take your time to think things through. There ain't no time limit really on true dialogue. We put an artificial time limit on it because this is a conference. We can't go on forever. So if it's difficult for you as an individual to come to consensus in your own head, well now when you get a circle of 5 or 6 or 12 or 20, well that's telling you how much more difficult it will be to achieve consensus. It doesn't mean that you can't do it, but it means that the effort is going to be very great and the time is going to be prolonged, and it will be more time than we have this evening at this conference.
That's right.
So just understand the process, and then when you leave this conference in the next day or two, and you go back home, now you know how to convene a meeting.
That's right. That's right.
I would recommend that you practice among the laborers. I would recommend that you
No, brother James. Come on now. Come on.
necessarily involve the whole mass
Yes, sir.
right away in dialogue. With all due respect, you're not good enough at it yourself. Guide somebody else to do it. Learn it first through practice among yourselves. Brother Michael gave you his email. Why did he do that? Because he's introducing you to some new concepts, and when you first hear it, you might think you got it. Then when you try to do it, you find, oh, wait, I got a question. So what he's inviting you to is dialogue. Contact him. Communicate with him. And you can do the same with me. Let me give you my email. Mine's easy. My email is just Aline at abundantlifeclinic.org. Abundant Life Clinic is just one word, .org. Now if I start getting too many emails, then I'll probably have to change it to something else. But I don't mind that. I love email. Sometimes people say, well, I don't want to bother you. Well, what do you think I'm here for? That's my job. You bother me when you have a question and don't ask the question.
Come on, doctor. Bother yourself.
You're not bothering me. Would it be bothering you? That's why he gave it to you. Because we have to keep the channels of communication open. You can't drop something on people and then disappear.
Right.
And you can't be contacted.
Right.
some of the group. That's natural. That's normal.
That's right.
And we want to continue with the development of the mosque plan. So therefore, we're going to change the schedule to accommodate that. Because while you have the zeal, the energy, the spirit to do that, let's go a little bit further in that mind. What you will see in your program is next steps forming the 9th Ministry Part 1. We'll just shift that to the schedule for tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And we'll continue with this a little while longer. And also tomorrow, and we still have to find the time to do the survey, questionnaire that the minister wants done.
Yes, sir.
So we'll figure it out. We'll restructure the schedule.
Take it home, bring it back.
No, we can't take them home, bring it back.
Yes, sir.
It has to be supervised. So now, would you put your notebooks down, please? Let's settle the air. Let's relieve the tension. Get in the circle perfectly, as perfect as you can. And confront one another. When I say confront one another, I mean open your eyes and look at one another. I mean look. Don't joke around. Calm down. Sit up straight. Confront one another. Meaning look without flinching. Look at one another. Don't look at me. Why should you confront one another? Because these are the people with whom you must work. You wish you had some other people, but no, open your eyes and look. These are the ones you actually have. And Allah has blessed you with. Don't be like Iblis. He was commanded to